Hi there! This week we're going to be talking about whether or not it's safe to save your passwords in your browser. My name is Steve, this is TQA Weekly. Welcome back. I was 2 weeks off, obviously because it was the holidays, and because my ISP for my website was actually upgrading some of the stuff behind the scenes, and I had to take care of some stuff in that. I will be changing some stuff on the websites, but today we're going to be focusing on whether or not it is safe to use the Save Passwords feature in your browser. I will not be talking about plugins quite just yet in this episode. We'll save that till a little later. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the built-in features that are available in Edge, Opera, Chrome, Firefox, and every other browser. A lot of these browsers like to pretend they are the desktops of many users, and in many cases they might as well be, because that's how a lot of people access the internet and use a lot of stuff online. So, is it actually safe? The problem with it is that in the majority of cases, you don't need to log in to use this information. The information is accessible to anybody who has access to the browser. And of course, for those that are a little less technical, the information, the way it is stored, is just not up to long-term brute force attacks. So basically, the information can be gained very easily by local access and by malware on your computer. Now, the problem with local access is that that term is thrown around, but local doesn't always mean local. So if we are referring to an old vulnerability that had to do with FireWire and direct memory access, that actually required physical in-person access with actual hardware. If we are talking about information available on our computer in the form of software, all that means is that anybody who can log into the computer, whether locally or remotely, can have local access to that information. Meaning that anybody that you allow to gain access to your computer, whether it's intentional or accidental, can gain access, or any form of malware, whether it is known or unknown, because unknown malware cannot be detected by antiviruses and anti-malware until it has been identified and there's actually a signature made for it. And of course, if your antivirus doesn't have any form of scan for unknown viruses, then that might actually pose an issue, especially if it's not beefy enough to detect that kind of stuff. So it is possible that because our browsers don't have a beefy enough amount of security, that they can be gamed. And that means any information you put into the browser can be accessed by anybody if a few very simple things happen that happen to be detrimental to your own personal security. So is it worth using those built-in features? No. Why? Because these are convenience features. They are made as a cluster of features to make your life simpler, but anything that makes your life simpler is also more dangerous. Which brings me to things like LastPass and other software that are plugins. You see, your browser is an everything tool. LastPass and other software made for your browser as a password manager, that's their only business, and they take that seriously. So a lot of them will have beefier security on the database that actually holds your passwords. They have the ability to log out when you turn off the browser, meaning that you can be forced to log in every single time, meaning that even if your sessions are still in your browser, nobody can just log into something else that you're not currently already logged into and then gain access to your life like that. And if you set up your browser correctly, you can kill every cookie every single time you log out and log out of your actual password manager simultaneously and maintain security all the time. And that's a permanent thing. So that you can, in a way, use a password manager to secure your life, and they will have better security, especially if you have to enter a password to use it every single time you open the browser. Meaning that it is less vulnerable to malware, it is less vulnerable to local attacks, it's also less vulnerable to remote access via your desktop. Meaning that in one way or another, you're far better off using a plugin than you are using the native feature in your browser, because it's just safer that way, because they are focused on security and those feature sets in your browser. Because Anyone can remove a plugin from a browser, but not everyone can change browser, especially since there are so few standard browsers out there even at this point in time. So, if you like this episode, like it, dislike it if you didn't, share with those who think can benefit from this, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com or go to my website, tqaweekly.com, where you can see the show notes on this episode, past others, find other ways of subscribing, and of course use the contact form to email me directly. And if you want to see me play video games, head over to twitch.tv/ZAxis1981, where you can see me play video games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I just got God of War, so I might be playing that very soon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.